couple weeks ago, I posted a video talking about how a parent's actions and behaviors during a child's 0 to 7 years of life can heavily influence the outcome of that person's attitude and interactions with the world later on in life. So going on with this 3-part series discussing about this topic, we're going to be talking about values. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, don't worry about it. This will still make a lot of sense just on its own, but I highly recommend you check out the other 2 once you finish watching this one. Where does values fit into all of this? The direct dictionary definition is the principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So if a parent's behavior influences the child and the values is what creates that parent's behavior, then values are the core of it all. Values are our beliefs, and our habits are repetitive behaviors that emphasize these beliefs that we want to live by. So when it comes to food, it can be about how we talk about food around our kids or to our kids. It can be how we present food to our kids. It can be what you present your kids with, when you present it, and whether you encourage them to eat certain things or not. As a good parent, I'm sure that you want what's best for your kid. And we all know that nutrition is a really big part of making sure that they grow into the healthiest versions of themselves. So, of course, a lot of these things that we're going to be talking about have to do of the underlying value of healthy eating. But along with healthy eating, there is a lot of other values that I think is important we bring to the surface. You may already be doing this, but sometimes it's nice to know that we're doing something intentionally and not just unconsciously. Here I'm going to give you a few examples of habits and the underlying values around them so that you can potentially add them to your life. And if you have a really cool habit that you do with your kid that you think emphasizes a really strong underlying value, pop them in the comments below. I'd love to read them, and I'm sure they'll be really helpful for any other parents watching this as well. When it comes to teaching your kids values, it's not about so much sitting them down and talking to them about this is our value, this is what we live by, but demonstrating to them our values through our actions is a much stronger way for them to actually take that on as a personal value to them through their actions. A lot of the values that I live by today, I now realize that they're my values, but only because I'm now analyzing, per se, a lot of the things that my family did around me and how that influenced me. So for me, it's a really interesting way, especially when kids don't want to be told exactly what to do. By actually just living the example of your values, unconsciously they will start absorbing that value for themselves, and you will have taught them indirectly. Of course, you can absolutely verbalize these values to your kids. I think it's important too. But teaching your values through food, it's a really good way to ingrain that value into them, because it's something that, with food, you're going to be eating at least 3 times a day, or usually at least once a day as a family. So during that meal time, how can you be sharing a little bit of your personal values with your kid? Habit number 1 is presenting your kids with a variety of different foods. Yes, it can be tempting that after you present your kid with something once and they express that they don't really like it, you never feed it to them again. But as you may be aware, it's actually been proven that it can take anywhere between 8 to 15 times of presenting a single food to a kid before they actually start liking it. So just because they don't like it the first time round, doesn't mean you should stop giving it to them. Different ways that you can present your kids with the same food is by changing the texture. You can present the food in different shapes. You can present the same food but in different meals. Instead of breakfast, maybe lunch, and maybe lunch, maybe afternoon tea, and so on. Changing the way you cooked it, changing the way you seasoned it, putting it in a different cuisine. Not only are they trying it in different ways and trying different flavors, but they're also learning a little bit more about the world and where different foods come from and different cultures, which is an underlying value in itself, right? Of teaching your kids about the world. Underlying value number 2 is for health, trying different foods so that the more different foods your child eats, the better their digestive system will be, the healthier they will be, they'll be absorbing different nutrients. Value number 3 is a little bit of curiosity. So presenting them with different foods and seeing how they will react when they are presented with something different every time. And maybe when presenting them with different cuisines as well, as they get older, they can start asking a bit smarter questions, just like, where is this food from? Why do they eat this specific type of food? Can we go there? What are X people like? And so on. So Food is a really nice opening door to cultural diversity. Habit number 2 is presenting food in a variety of colors. We all have heard the term eat the rainbow, and I think when it comes to presenting food for your kids, having it in a variety of different colors, really truly eating the rainbow in every plate, is an attractive way to feed your kid. It's almost like the food is calling out for them. Not only is it attractive for the kid, but it also makes meal times a little bit more fun and stimulates them talking about what they're eating, maybe associating the colors with different things in their life. So for a toddler and specifically when they're trying to learn how to speak, having a lot of colors in their plate is a really good way to stimulate communication, vocabulary, and association. In terms of making meal times, especially when the kids are young, playing with their food is not necessarily a bad thing. It means they can then look forward to meal times as well, not only just for not being hungry, but it can just be an activity in itself. As long as they're not just playing with the food, but also eating it all and enjoying the process of talking about the food, maybe feeling the different textures of different food, trying to feed themselves, all these things, really, really good experience. So just to emphasize, the underlying values here are, of course, healthy eating. Eating the rainbow means different nutrients, having fun, stimulating talking, and similarly to the first one, just trying different things. Different colors means a variety of different foods, which means trying different things. Okay, habit number 3 is now the kids are maybe getting a little bit older and we can actually start having smart conversations with them and trying to truly make them understand about what is healthy and what is unhealthy. In the first video of this series, I briefly talked about how when it comes to teaching your kid about what is healthy and what is unhealthy, telling your kid that particular food is bad is hard for a child to understand because there is no direct correlation for that child to understand why this food is bad, when in reality maybe it tastes good or it makes them feel good. So using the word bad isn't enough for making the child understand that it's unhealthy. So how do we go about having these smart conversations with your child to make them understand healthy versus unhealthy? So for this, values comes in. Not only our personal values that we're trying to teach them, but maybe their current values in their stage of life. So for teenagers specifically, a lot of them, even though it's something that maybe we're trying to teach them not to care so much about, it's kind of inevitable. I'm sure you cared about these things. I definitely cared about these things when I was a teenager. When it comes to looks, when it comes to not having acne, even though I still have acne as an adult, and that's okay. And social acceptance. So that's a teen's values. How can we use that to teach them healthy versus unhealthy? And for a child, whether they're a toddler or primary school level, their values usually is about being active, having fun, still a little bit about what their friends think, what their friends are doing, and just like, oh, my friend does this, so I want to do it too. And also just growing. A lot of kids always want to be older. So when you bring that to the forefront of their mind, just like, don't you want to grow big? Don't you want to grow and be strong? Don't you want to grow and be healthy? Just being honest and talking their language. A lot of kids are know-it-alls, right? They want to be know-it-alls. They want to tell you that they know more than you. So kind of use that to your advantage. Just like, don't you want to be smart? Don't you want to know things? Don't you want to not be dumb, not be stupid? So by using food to also align with these things that they're telling themselves that they don't want to be or that they do want to be is a good way to go about doing that. Or even using their hobbies and activities that they like and they want to be good at. For example, maybe a sport they play, dance, or an activity like a puzzle or whatever it is that they're really interested in, using that to motivate them. Don't you want to be really good at this? Therefore, you need to be healthy. And healthy means eating well. And this is what we eat to be well, to be good at this. It all comes down to associating things that make sense to them until you get down to the root, which is the healthy food. Another thing that we need to make sure we understand though is that just like they are smart enough to make these associations, they also do have weaknesses. Just like we have weaknesses, they are more or less exact same weakness, but their weakness is even stronger because they don't have that rationalization that we have as adults. And that is exactly what we're trying to teach them. Rationalize so that when the weakness comes around, they can go, oh, wait, this is not good for me because, and then make the smarter choice instead of just going for emotional and instant gratification, which is taste and sugar addiction and this will make me feel good. So the solution to going about this is, first of all, honesty and talking to them straight. So yes, making those associations with the things that make sense to them, that they care about, their personal values, but also still making it realistic. So it's not just all about making up reasons or kind of fluffing around the topic, but you can make it so you're still teaching them the consequences of eating the unhealthy stuff. What we want to avoid though is making sure we're not teaching them the reality of the consequences by applying fear into their mind. So still tell them straight and try and be honest, but without making them scared of that unhealthy food. Because of course, unavoidably, there'll be times where we will be eating these things and we don't want to confuse them by, oh my God, if this is so bad for me, why are we still eating it occasionally? Why is my friend eating it? Why is my auntie eating it, or whatever? So no, they're not poison, they're not illegal. We just want to make sure that they understand that they're very much an occasional thing. Things to be eaten in moderation. So explaining to your kids the consequences like rotting teeth, by explaining to them diabetes, by the consequences potentially being not death or not going teethless, like maybe my grandparents used to tell me, just saying, hey, this could make you sick, this could mean that this could mean that you could end up having to take medication for the rest of your life. Do you want that? No, not really. Of course you don't. So this is why we eat things in small portions, or this is why we eat these things only occasionally. But also, when I say occasionally, I also want to emphasize that it's not on special occasions, because on special occasions, again, it makes it seem like it's a good thing. So it is tricky, because usually that is when we allow ourselves to eat the unhealthy things, right, on special occasions. But it is interesting, still something that I struggle to understand. Why is it that on the special occasions, the times when we are celebrating life the most, we end up eating the things that are supposed to be the most damaging? Maybe it's because they are ultimately the most delicious foods, or not. Depends on your point of view and your taste buds, right? But yeah. Anyway, hopefully this makes some sense. Second solution, along the lines of being honest with them of the consequences, it's also being honest to them and really specific in terms of why we eat the healthy things. So not just focus on the negative, but also focus on the positive. For example, we eat bananas because they have potassium. Potassium makes you not get cramps. We eat carrots because they're good for our eyes. We eat meat and eggs because they have protein, and protein keeps us full for longer. It gives us energy to play all these sports, to do all these things that you want to do. We eat leafy greens for our blood. We eat oranges for our skin, and etc. and etc. You know what I mean? Even as an adult, I always like to know why I'm being told to do something. So as a kid, I think it's really important. Not only are you teaching them more in general, but I think when they understand why they're being told to do something, it really, one, creates a healthier relationship between you and your child. It's not so much authority, but it's a healthy authority. And I actually think it strengthens respect, you know. Over time, they'll start understanding, wow, my mom really cares about me. Wow, my dad really cares about me. They wanted the best for me. That's why. And by teaching them the why, the reasoning behind all these things, you're also teaching them to later on make these decisions for themselves. So the more knowledge they have as they get older and that rationalization part of their brain starts ticking in, they will start making these decisions by themselves. So no, you don't have to be on top of them. You don't have to be telling them what to do all the time. And this is why I think as a parent, I find it so many times parents complain, oh my gosh, I've told them 100 times, they're still doing exactly the opposite of what I told them to do. That is because by telling them what to do, you're not engaging with them in the sense they're still not understanding the reasoning behind that action. So if they don't know why they're being told not to do something or to do something, they're not going to remember, or the next time comes around, they're just like, maybe today I can do it, or I don't know. But like I said, they don't have the information to rationalize that action. So by giving them the reasoning behind, we eat this because it's good for us, so much more important, because there is a contradiction there in unhealthy food, and that is why it's important for us to really go deep. And maybe you have to learn a lot of these things yourself as well, but really you can never know too much. So especially when it comes to nutrition and knowing what it is that you're putting inside your body, what it is that you're putting into your kids' bodies, rabbit hole of knowledge, hopefully you just start appreciating it even more. And I really see it as a form of self-care. So whatever it is that will help you find the reasoning and the passion for finding more information so that you can rationalize things for your kids. I think it's also really important, because now as an adult, because I didn't get taught all these things when I was younger, I'm now having to go after all the information myself. Whereas the more information we get taught as a child and not get simply given a vague explanation to things, the more we will internalize it as true to ourselves. So going into more detail, more specific reasoning is good for them, but also it's really helpful in those times when the instinct is to follow the crowd. Oh, my friend is doing this, my friend is eating this, so I want that. Mom, give me that, please, 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 please. They will then have that rationalizing thought of, hey, actually, I don't want to be like my friend. This is bad for me. I don't want this. And if you're involving them in the cooking process, if they have prepared what they are eating and it's healthier, they will hopefully understand, wow, these are the raw ingredients. I know exactly what I'm eating. I'm really proud. Look what I have prepared. This is my masterpiece. Versus just going to the cupboard, getting a packet of something and going, okay, I'm hungry again in 5 minutes. And also when it comes to those times when their friend maybe is offering them something that did come from a packet and they have a really nice alternative that they're proud to offer to their friends as well, I think overall they're going to be creating that positive impact, not just in their own life, but also to the people around them. And maybe when they go and offer what they have prepared, they'll also have all the knowledge behind it, be just like, hey, did you know that this is really good for you because no. So how cool is that? When it comes to having these tough conversations with the kids about what is healthy, what is unhealthy, the underlying value, the obvious underlying value is, yes, healthy eating and healthy body and healthy mind. But also it's about the value of trusting your kids and having your kids trust you. So when it comes to having these unhealthy items at home, usually the parents will try and hide it from the kids, or they'll put it somewhere that's kind of inaccessible. But I find that the kids always find a way to find these things, and then they end up hiding it from the parents themselves, or they still get in trouble for finding a way to find those things. And not only is that not building trust between one another, the parent and the child, but it's also causing that fatigue for the parent of repeating themselves, and potentially even decision fatigue of when the child has to ask permission every time they want to eat something. Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I? And you have to say no. You can say yes, go get it. If you can teach your kids the reasoning behind why they eat what they eat, when to eat, and you can trust that they'll make the right decisions, then it'll also be less for you, less decisions for you, less nagging on you, and overall, I think it'll be less stressful time as a parent, and the kids will have a sense of agency, they'll have a sense of independence. And I think it's a really good thing overall. So I think the only two things to when it comes to having that trust where you can trust your kids to eat whenever they want, whatever they want, with that underlying knowledge of what is healthy and unhealthy for them, is also important to teach them when to eat, because the last thing you want is, even if it's something healthy, you're just about to serve dinner and then you catch them eating an apple or something like this, and then they're not hungry for dinner. So teaching them, if they're unsure whether it's about to be dinner time, maybe that's the right question. Not can I have this, but hey, is dinner almost ready? I'm hungry. I'm thinking about having this. Should I wait or should I eat? And with that as well is about helping your kids understand their own body, understand when they're hungry, when they're not hungry, when they are craving something just for the taste or for the feel good or because they're bored. You know, we all do these things. Of course, kids will do the same thing as well. So helping them understand when they are hungry, when they're not, when they're just craving things for other reasons is really important. And I think it leads to a healthier relationship with food later on in life. So they're not binge eating, they're not eating out of boredom. They have an easier time managing their weight when they're older. So that's a really strong underlying value as well. So this is definitely the biggest one, and it could take the biggest time. But I think once you do all these things, and it's sort of one habit with lots of different things, so hopefully it all made sense on how things connect with each other. But yeah, so if you were to do any of the habits, doing this one I think is definitely the most important one. The next habit, or the next thing really, that really ties strongly to everything we just spoke about in making your kids understand what is healthy, what is unhealthy, when to eat, what to eat, building trust, all these things, is availability. So even with us, right? If we have food available in the pantry, in the fridge, we will eventually get to it, or we will be definitely tempted to it every time we see it. Whereas if it's something is absolutely not there, or we only have healthier alternatives, we are more likely to eat them, right? So like I said, a lot of the times parents' instinct is to try and hide it from the kid or try and put it somewhere that's inaccessible. But this can lead to kids injuring themselves, trying to climb, trying to get to these things, or again, not building trust. So not having those things available as a rule or as a habit is something that will help with the previous point a lot, and will emphasize that these are truly occasional things. So when you eat them, it'll be rarely, it'll be on certain times only. When the unexpected presents itself and you find yourself eating that, it'll be on occasion. It won't be as a regular. So really letting it come down to circumstances, that is when it will really, I think, sink in for the child that these things aren't an everyday food. Next habit is mealtime rules. We actually talked a lot about this on the video when we spoke about traditions, but with those traditions of not having screens on the dinner table, of everybody being present during dinner time, everybody eating at the table, or at least as a family, whether it's on the couch or on the table or whatever it may be that you're eating, with those traditions, the underlying value is quality time together, of being present, of really wanting to know about what is happening in the other person's life. So not only just being a part of that person's life because you are related to them and you live under the same roof, but because you want to be engaged, you want to be a part of their life and really knowing what is going on for them mentally, of sharing with them what is going on with your life, whether it's a family or even friends, you know. The underlying value really is amongst the chaos of routine, of activities, of everything that may be going on. I treasure time with you. I treasure time with them. I treasure time with people, and I will be present during that time. We value the interactions we have with these people, and we value the memories that we create during those times we spend together. Even if it's for a small time, it doesn't have to be for a long time, but at least once a day or at least once a week, whatever it may be, we value time spent with other people. If it's going camping or having a picnic, we value experiences. We value trying different things. We value having fun. We value enjoying life. We value adventure. If it's about the occasional once a week or once a fortnight at our friends, the underlying value is bringing people together. And last but not least, the last habit is including your kids during the cooking process. I know this can be a tricky one for a lot of people in terms of time management, but I find it to be a really, really important one because the underlying values for this one is super important. It's a life skill that I find that is almost going extinct in a lot of homes with so many convenient alternatives being readily available. It's about independence, helping your kids be independent when they leave your home, when they become adults. Like we spoke briefly before, it's about having pride in what they prepared and wanting to share it with other people. It's about knowing what it is that they're eating. It's about spending time with your kids. Spending time with your kids doesn't always have to be a super crazy activity. It doesn't have to be a getaway. It doesn't have to be adventure and different all the time. It can be as simple as including them in your everyday life and your everyday routine. They just want to be with you. Doesn't matter what they're doing as long as they are with you. And since we have to eat every day and a lot of these underlying values have to do with health, cooking your own food is a really nice way to do that. So by bringing your kids into the kitchen and cooking with them, they are valuing, yes, the food, but also the quality time spent with you, the parent. If you can, I definitely encourage doing this. So these are the habits. Hopefully by giving you some habits and highlighting the underlying value, now you can kind of see the association between your behavior, your actions, and the values that you're trying to teach your kids. But I do want to make a note that one core value that a lot of people are implementing into their lives is convenience. And with that, there has been a lot of shortcuts to home cooking. And although convenience can be a value for you, I do think it's important to also assess whether the value of convenience is actually nulling out the other values in your life. So maybe if convenience is amongst all your values, which ones are the strong core values that you want to teach, or which one are priorities for you? Which ones mean more to you? And could convenience just be not a value, but something that you acknowledge you need? And when it comes to bringing convenience into your life, how can you make it convenient while also staying true to all of these other values that you may have? So when it comes to convenience, a lot of the solutions to bringing convenience to people's homes is meal kits, microwave meals, feeding kids at a separate time because they have an earlier bedtime and maybe they eat something simpler, or because they don't like the same food that you like. Not including kids during the cooking process because you don't have enough time and you just need to get it done so that you can get them to bed. I'm not here to judge if you are the kind of person who has taken some of these solutions to convenience into your life, but I am here to tell you that there are alternatives to this so that you can still have convenience and these values that we talked about, whether it's healthy eating or curiosity. I understand that when it comes to convenience, the biggest struggle is always having enough time. So this is why I make this content. My channel, my brand is all about bringing convenience to you as a parent. I'm not here to tell you what to do or what is right or wrong, but I understand that when it comes to time management and convenience, it's really easy to fall into a routine that may not be aligning with our values that we want to be teaching our kids. So in my channel, of course, I have a variety of videos helping you implement different ideas, different concepts, different habits into your life to make it more convenient and more realistic to do all these things in your life whilst having a short amount of time. But if you don't have the time as well to watch these videos, then to make it really, really easy for you, I have made a 5-day email series where I have broken down all of these things that I think could help you create your ideal cooking lifestyle, but also to help you bring these values into your everyday life and to your kids' lives. So click the link in the description below so that you can start receiving these bite-sized emails and implement these little changes into your life to start seeing change today. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the last video of the 3-part series talking about how parents' actions, behaviors influence a child's outcome in the future. So if you haven't watched these videos yet, I highly recommend you watch those ones as well so that this video potentially makes even more sense. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And if not, at the email series. You're watching Food for Days.